At the end of 2024, Kelcey Ayer played his last show with Local Natives, a band in which he'd played for the last 2 decades or so, fronting some of the most beloved songs, including Airplanes, World News, and Dark Days. Though Ayer has previously released music under the moniker Jaws of Love, his latest release, the No Sleep EP, is the first under his own name. All the songs taken together address Ayer becoming a father for the first time, and all the crazy head-spinning feelings that accompany that huge life transition. I spoke to Ayer a week after the EP's release. We talk about how his love of comedy inspired the title track of the EP, how he experimented with his son's childhood toys for the song Different Planets, and how it felt to play his final show with Local Natives. I hope you enjoyed the conversation. Great. Well, thanks, Kelcey, for joining me today on the channel. How are you doing today, mate?
Good. I know it's late where you are. It's early where I am, but I'm good. I didn't stay up too late. I felt very responsible for our chat.
Well, I appreciate that, mate, and hopefully we'll have a good chat about your new EP, No Sleep, which I've been spinning a lot this week, and I'm really excited by, and obviously excited to talk to you in detail about it. But before we do that, Kelcey, I was hoping to cast your mind back to Wisconsin at the end of last year, when you played your last show with your former band, Local Natives, which I think had spent about the last 2 decades or so with. I just wanted to ask about that, Kelcey, before we get into the new music and all the exciting stuff you've got ahead creatively. What was going through your mind with that last show, kind of looking around you and looking on stage at the people you've spent and shared the stage with for the last 2 decades? What kind of emotions were running through your mind?
I mean, I think it was basically every emotion, just because at that point, I definitely made my decision and I was excited to get started with this kind of new phase of my career. But on the other hand, on the flip side, I was definitely mourning leaving something I'd been in for so long. So it was definitely pretty complicated, but I think it's a testament to those guys that we could have such a wonderful, like, jubilant, cathartic night, where, I mean, the fans were amazing, and we had a cake. We all like went out after the show and had so much fun with the crew. It was the best crew that the band had ever had up to that point, and we all just really bonded that year. Um, so it was just, I don't know, a really beautiful night. My wife was able to come out and be with me for the last 3 shows of that tour, and my wife hadn't left our son since he was born at that point. So it was really special to have her there. And yeah, I think we just honored the night, in a way that I'll always be proud of, and I'll always be grateful of, that we didn't just try to, I don't know, shy away from these kind of more complicated feelings. Everyone kind of leaned in, and I think that made the night just so perfect. So it's like one of the most special nights I'll have in my life that I'll never forget.
That's great to hear. Well, thanks, Kelcey, for kind of reflecting on what came before and now thinking about what comes next. And obviously, you've put out this new EP, No Sleep, which is a really great and interesting list. And I've got lots of questions about some of the songs on the record as well.
Thank you.
I think is kind of some of the songs I've not really heard this aspect of your creative output in Local Natives. Before we talk about some of the songs, Kelcey, you make the conscious decision to release this new music, this new EP, under your own name, and obviously you've previously used the moniker Jaws of Love. What was the reason you decided to kind of set aside Jaws of Love, at least for the time being, and decide to release music under your own name? What was the intent behind that?
Yeah, I basically wanted a fresh start. I think, especially writing all this music about my son and being a new father, and then leaving local natives. And I never had put out music under my own name, so it was kind of it was an option open to me, and I just felt like for the longest time I'd felt split as a songwriter, where I'm putting my kind of maybe more eccentric, esoteric, like slower, sadder tracks, sadder songs for Jaws of Love, and then anything that was more kind of quicker paced or felt more conducive to a band, that would go to local natives. So like since 2017, I really 2016, I'd been kind of splitting myself down the middle for both these projects, um, which worked fine for a long time. But once I had Oscar, my son, and that was early 2023, and I started writing these songs, it didn't feel like I was being pulled in one direction or another. I just felt like myself, and I just felt like kind of in the middle, and like homeostasis was happening inside me, and so I felt like the music kind of the music kind of wanted, I think, a fresh start as well, and yeah, so it just made sense to just start putting stuff out just under my own name, because it just felt like the most kind of whole I'd been in a long time.
It sounds almost like a kind of new rebirth for you, Kelsey, which
Yeah,
also kind of
absolutely.
explains, yeah, setting aside the jaws of love. It sounds like this is almost like a new project. And when you speak about your son, who you've just mentioned, I know you've said that fatherhood has changed the way you make music. Um, in what way would you say that's the case?
It's more like the material. I'm just writing about. I've always written about what I'm going through and what's happening to me in my life, and big changes obviously make a big impact in the songs. I've written a lot about my mother, who passed away in 2011 from cancer. One of the biggest moments of my life. My marriage is kind of like all like the my first Jaws of Love record was kind of all about that, and but having my son, becoming a father, turned out to be the biggest change I'd ever gone through, up to this point, and it really kind of it really broke my brain, and I couldn't believe how much that I would change because of this. I always thought it would be an additive thing where you work in um, the kid into your life, and then you just go on, but it really reshapes everything, and I do feel like a new person, and I do feel like there was a lot of mourning for my old life and a little bit of a struggle to accept my new life. I think as artists we're all like, um, for better or for worse, like selfish people. We just like have to be able to get our own ideas out and to prioritize like how we feel and how to manifest that into music. Um and but then when he's once he was born, it was like you're you have to be you can't be as selfish anymore, and you have to just figure out like what that means for your art and how you, I don't know, deal with it. And yeah, I don't know, all that to say, it just really felt like I had completely changed, and this was like a new person. So so I don't know, like production wise, sonically, like I'm not sure how that's manifested into the music. I do feel like there's a bit more excitement in this music than was in Jaws of Love. You know, like I said, Jaws of Love is always a response to local natives, and now it feels like I can just explore and move around, and that feels kind of really exciting. And I think I've embraced this new um, life. I think I've acquired and given myself permission to explore and to take some wild chances. Obviously, like the most being like that No Sleep track. That's pretty batshit. But yeah, all this new stuff. I just had so much joy and fun, and also processed so much pain or so many emotions through it. And yeah, it does feel like a new day for me as an artist.
That's cool. I was reading an interview with the lead singer of Franz Ferdinand the other day, Kelsey and Alex Kapranos, and they have a new album called The Human Fear, and the title is all about this idea of that once you commit to a decision, whether that be a significant relationship or maybe in your case fatherhood or parenthood more generally, it's committing yourself to this idea that, as you just said, your time is no longer yours. And if you're a highly creative person, that kind of, jumping both feet into anything like that, whether it's a marriage or fatherhood or, potentially leaving a band that you've been part of for 2 decades, that is, it's the death of one lifestyle, but it's the start of something new, essentially, which feels like something that you can relate to, I think, maybe.
Yeah, yeah. So did he just become a dad or something? What happened with that
I
guy?
I think he did. I think he did. I think
Okay.
he's got a little one at home as well. So yeah, maybe it's a record you might be able to relate to. Um, yeah, and talking about some of the new stuff you said, I'm glad you've said No Sleep, Kelsey, because I listened to this record, and that was definitely, I had it on in the background, and that was the track that I had to kind of stop what I was doing and listen back to it and kind of focus in on the lyrics. And it's rare for me to kind of to laugh, kind of laugh out loud when I'm listening to music, but I did because it's a kind of a short, agile little song, but it within about 2.5 minutes, you're kind of following this theme of don't talk to me until I've had my coffee, and it was like I say, it was kind of unexpected. I didn't really expect that from yourself, Kelsey. So I wonder where that humor, injecting that kind of humor into No Sleep came from, and talking about this kind of rebirth, this creative rebirth. Is humor something that you felt you've wanted to put into songs before, but maybe felt that's one of the things you've dropped because you've been part of a democratic unit, or what was the inspiration behind making that song quite a zany track? Where did that come from?
Yeah. So I think that is like so much my personality. I love making people laugh, and I've always been like really into comedy. And it's kind of like I was saying earlier, where I feel like the most myself I've ever felt, and wanting to put out this new music as Kelcey Ayer. It's like I've been like picked up and shaken, and all the things in me are like all they all got, like, before it was like a lava lamp or like oil and water or like just like all this separated things. And yeah,
Uh
so my son basically just picked me up and shook the shit out of me. And
huh.
and now everything is like gelled together, and that is what makes it so fun to be able to feel the agency to do a track like that, where yeah, like I was just like I was just like rolling with the idea of complete mania from not sleeping, and then just making myself laugh the crazier and crazier I made these I wrote these lines, and it's I feel like it's a pretty decent representation of like new parenthood where
Uh,
I mean the not sleeping thing is so intense and so um bewildering, and I just kept my wife and I just kept looking at each other and we were like, so everyone does this? Everyone is cool with this? This is fine? Um, so it was we were just constantly like floored by how crazy it is. Um, but anyway, yeah, like so I love comedy, and there was a moment in my life where I wanted to be like a comedian and do
oh
stuff
wow.
like that,
Oh
and I've got
cool.
a lot of friends who are comedians and stuff. Um, but yeah, so I've always wanted to, well, with Local Natives and Jaws of Love was a bit self-serious, and Local Natives obviously was with multiple people, so it's like it's hard. It's hard when you're in a democratic group to really let one personality um, come through as authentically and genuinely as if you have a one person leading something, one person's like stream of consciousness, like I don't know if you know that Cameron Winter album. Um,
Yeah.
if so, he's in a band called Geese. He put out a solo record, and his solo record just feels like, well, he's all about stream of consciousness and just grabbing
Mhm.
bits that he is drawn to. But it's way it's I think admittedly way like um weirder than like his stuff in his main band. That's
Uh-huh.
that's a bit more reined in, but it's just they're just like serving different purposes. Whereas like I think uh, uh which makes sense to me in the way that like yeah, Local Native served a purpose as a band, as like a bigger like indie pop band, and then Jaws of Love was my answer to that for things I didn't feel like I got in that space. But yeah, this time I just felt like fuck it, I'm just gonna try stuff, and I'm I'm feeling just like a new kind of emboldened uh artist. And then also it's a funny thing feeling like, well, this is like getting to the to a larger, more zoomed out view of everything, just whereas everything was for myself before, now everything being for my son, I'm just like, I don't know. It's all opened me up to new possibilities and taking new paths and new chances, and thinking that could be a good thing.
I love
We'll
it. And
see. We'll see if it's a
yeah,
good thing. We'll see if people
I,
if people think I'm like crazy or what.
no, I think it's a good thing, man. I just love how you kind of follow that one motif all the way through, but you've kind of got some jazzy chords. The chords change behind it, the sonic palette behind it changes. So it's always interesting to listen to as a song. But it's clear that you are embracing experimentation in a different way, and also on the song "Different Planets" as well. I believe you used some of maybe your son's toys to record that. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, so when my son was born, someone gave him a baby blue ukulele.
Okay.
And I had never had a ukulele before, and it was just in my son's room, and I'd be try to get him to go to sleep, and I'd be reading him books, but I would just be like messing around with this ukulele. If there's any kind of instrument around, I'll like probably mess with it, and usually I can get a song out of anything, uh, whether it's like how interesting or good it is, who knows? But so I wrote this chord progression on the ukulele, and I was like, oh, I really like this, and I started thinking of melodies, and then I transferred the chords to guitar and then piano, and so it created this tapestry of instruments that you hear on the song. And yeah, so it was totally born from his like toy ukulele. That so it's funny to me how quite literally the song would never exist without this ukulele and without my son. But yeah, he had a toy wood block that I used as like the downbeat, like almost like a metronome for the song that's in there. In another track called Ghosts of Neighborhood Dogs, I I used this. He had this like penguin that had like a twinkling thing inside, like a twinkle toy or something. And
Uh-huh,
if you
uh-huh,
spin it, it starts like it sounds like if you were just kind of like messing with a tambourine or something, just kind of flipping it
uh-huh.
around. But I threw that through like a ton of reverb, and that's what's like kind of sparkling all over that song.
I love it. So, thinking about playing these songs live, Kelcey, I know you've just done a run of shows in the States, and for future shows, are you going to bring those toys on stage with you, or are you going to try and replicate it in some different manner? That could be an interesting visual, you know?
Yeah, for sure. I have not considered bringing him. I have bought like a professional ukulele with a pickup that
Uh-huh.
I can play live.
Oh, wow.
I wanted to I was thinking of bringing the blue one, but honestly, it doesn't really stay in tune. It's not real, not up to the level that I need. Um, uh, I just I have them in tracks, and I have like some things like, well, our drummer has the wood block, so that does come with us.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Perfect. So some of the sounds you've made on record will be recreated perfectly live.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to talk about probably my favorite cut from the EP, Kelcey, which is the final track on the record. Mother is the real Jesus. I know in previous songs, and you've kind of just alluded to early in our conversation, that you've kind of talked about obviously the very devastating personal loss of your own mother in songs like Columbia from the local natives record, Hummingbird, and even in songs like Patricia from the EP that you put out a few years ago. Um, I wanted to ask you, what was the inspiration behind that song and this concept of Mother is the real Jesus? Was that a sentiment that came to you afresh whilst you were making this EP, or is it a phrase you've had percolating in your head for some years now?
No, I would really say it came from our son being born and from me. So all this music kind of leans on my experience as a new father, but this is kind of has the asterisk of my experience watching my wife become a new mother. And there's so much of this process of having kids is um, so much stuff I had no idea, and I thought I had a general sense, and you just get totally owned by the fact that you don't know anything. And so with pregnancy, and then it was even really hard for us to get pregnant. Um, but once we did, um, and then watching her go through, bringing the baby to term, which can be really uncomfortable, and then also scary in case something feels wrong and you're going to the hospital, you're not sure what's going on. And but then like literally giving like your entire body and you're split open, and you're bleeding, and you're giving all your fluids out to bring the baby into this world. And then you have this baby, and then you have to recover from a traumatic incident that your body went through, a traumatic transformation. And then the son, or the baby, the son in our case, they say the baby sees the mother's body as an extension of itself when it's first born. So the mother just has to say yes and give her body to this little organism who needs her more than anything in the world to survive. And all these parallels kept coming up to me to the story of Jesus Christ. And because I grew up Christian. I am not Christian anymore. I'm not religious anymore. But I just have so much information just like stuck back there about this religion and this guy. And they talk about him and everything he sacrificed, and sacrificing his body and his blood for all of humankind. And while I can't verify the validity of this story. If this person existed, I know a lot of people think that he did, and I'm slightly debating that maybe, but I mean we can't be sure. But seeing my wife go through this transformation and seeing everything that she's given up and she does for her child, it feels like that is Jesus embodied in like a real person on earth, or is every mother who is giving it's I'm not religious anymore, but it feels, if you want to make a case for miracles, this feels like the closest we're ever going to get to the definition of that divine thing happening in front of our own eyes. So I don't know. The parallels really struck me, and they felt really poignant to me, and I I just loved the idea of this beautiful song as a in honor of my wife doing this beautiful thing.
I want to ask you about the music video for Mother is the Real Jesus. What was the inspiration behind that video? And I know you've said you're a big fan of film and TV. Is it exciting now that you're kind of directing all of the visual aspects of the music as well? Are you looking to any particular filmic or cinematic inspirations as you go about filming these videos or directing these videos?
Yeah, it's so hard. I was talking to my DP, this guy John Bonenberger, who shot everything with his own red camera and made everything look so amazing. I worked with him on the Mother's the Real Jesus video and Ghosts of Neighborhood Dogs video. But I he's like, oh, references would help, and I'm like, I don't know. It's so hard to come up with references where I know like as a director you need to fucking do that. But I don't know. I love I love like I'm a huge I don't know, like if you're a big movie fan, I think you're probably like very into David Fincher and Sofia Coppola and Paul Thomas Anderson and Coen brothers, and I guess that's like more of the newer school of these are my idols, whereas like someone 30 years older than me are naming all these 70s 80s directors. um but I don't know. I feel like when you have someone who knows what looks good, and in the definition that you also have. So we had like some sort of like unwritten, unsaid agreement where we both just agreed on what we think looks great. But I mean, to your question, am I excited? I'm so pumped to be able to do this. I've always wanted to direct my own videos or videos for people, and I've never known how to really get started or do it. And I'm so stoked that I basically just used this project to be like, well, how do I do it? How do I get started? And I started with the Different Planets video. And it was just me and my buddy. His name's Brian Mayfield. He wears the wolf mask, and he's a set designer, and he works on miniatures and build sets, and he's worked on sets for a long time at this point, and was helping me kind of get things together. Um, and yeah, just I learned so much from each video. And so what you see in Mother is the Real Jesus is really the my own little personal film school I've been attending, that I'm still in, just by doing this stuff. And so we found this church in LA that you gets rented out for a lot of music videos, a lot of like horror shorts, a lot of like weird
Okay.
stuff, which was so perfect
Uh-huh.
for us. And then since it was inside, we hadn't used lights on the video before, but John was like, "We need lights in here. It's not going to be
Uh-huh.
worth doing anything in here without it." I was like, "Okay." So Mel and I, it's all self-funded, so but I mean, for this song particularly, Mel, my wife, really felt a desire to lean into the video and to really make something that honors the song. And it was her idea to find a dancer to dance in the
Hmm.
video. So
Hmm.
she was friends with some people at a place called Mashup Contemporary Dance Company, um, and we got this woman Sarah to choreograph a dance for Lydia, to this dancer to dance. And it was just really amazing. Like, we casted the dancer, and we found the lighting, and we found this location, and it really felt like we were working on like a real thing, which was
Hmm.
so
Yeah.
exciting. And I'd never worked
Yeah.
with lights before, and we had this guy Manny come in and just like kill it and bring all his truck of lights. And yeah, it just felt like a real thing. And I'm so proud of the video and how it turned out, and I'm really glad you liked it.
It's really cool, and I was watching it, and it kind of straddles, like you say, dance and performative dance, but also at the start, I was like, is this going to be a horror short? What are these guys doing, pinning you down in the chair? And I didn't know
Yeah,
which way it was going to go, but
were you scared at the beginning, or like nervous at the beginning?
I was pretty, yeah, I was like, because you got a bit of blood on you, right, as well, I think,
Yeah,
at some point. And
it
I was
doesn't look
like,
good for
where's this
me. Yeah,
going? I was like, is this like a slasher, like the setup of a slasher premise or something? And then these guys come and you've got this recurring motif of these guys with is it like a bull mask and like the dog mask, I think, Kelsey, in all your videos.
hmm
And I was like, yeah, it kind of gave, Jason X vibes or Freddy Krueger vibes. So it had me pretty intrigued. But I could see there was this kind of experimental urge within you, Kelsey, and it's clear that you've kind of enjoyed throwing yourself into all the kind of different routes of creativity that this venture, this EP, has given you. Just before we kind of think about what kind of comes next in your plans for both the EP and potentially new music in the future, you've talked about how in this guise and in your previous time, both within Local Natives and Jaws of Love, you've kind of dealt with some pretty weighty topics like relationships, breakups, grief, and also I know with some of your Jaws of Love stuff, you've talked about themes of miscarriage and loss as well. Um, as you talk about kind of new life on this new EP, do you find it difficult to translate these feelings and issues you're struggling with, whether it be the death of a loved one or relationship issues, or is there something about songwriting that offers almost like a therapeutic, cathartic release for you? And what is it about it?
yeah. I think that it's become my way of processing anything that's going on. I think when you listen to any piece of music or watch a movie or watch something, see a piece of art that moves you, that is just so special. And I've just really, I don't know, leaned into that in my career, and leaned into being kind of an open book and just sharing my life with people through my music. And at this point, it just feels like I'm in such a flow state of being able to take whatever's going on and communicate it in a way. It feels almost like I'm solving a puzzle, or just trying to put my thoughts together and figure out like how to express an idea. And it always leads to totally um, surprising like breakthroughs and surprising revelations. And I mean, the Mother is the Real Jesus song was such a good example of that, where I never thought I'd be writing about that, and I'd never thought I'd be connecting my wife to Jesus Christ. But it just, as the ideas just kind of like tumble around in my brain, it's like these connections form. And I think that's what's such a fun thing about being creative and making stuff, and linking things that you would never think would be linked. Um, and yeah, I think I at this point, it just feels like the language I know how to, the artistic language I know how to speak so well, um, connecting these um, these moments in my life to storytelling through music. And I don't know, maybe wanting to loving film and TV and stories, and wanting to direct, and it always has maybe felt like I've viewed my music in that lens, like in such a visual lens.
Mhm.
I try to make visuals happen through the words and through the music. And it's so important to me. And I love that, a good story can really connect and make you feel something so powerful, like film and shows do all the time. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, I feel like it's my calling at this point to just
It
lean
feels
into this role.
it feels like as you're talking that as you explore all these kind of new sentiments that have resulted from being a father for the first time and seeing your loved one give birth to new life, that it's giving rise to all these different sentiments that feel that this new project is you've opened the floodgates and all these songs are coming out. Do you have more songs planned, perhaps a full length or another EP, Kelcey? What's coming next?
Um, so when Oscar was born, it just all these feelings, all these new emotions came flooding in, and I had to make sense of them. So yeah, I just started writing. And I actually at one point had a long record, but I decided to carve an EP out of it to put out first, just to kind of reintroduce myself as this new person I've become, and try to just get get people like activated, and get people like thinking of me in this new way. And then so as far as what's next, I do have a lot of new finished music that I've basically got to figure out how to put out. It's been really tough, just like wearing just being a self-releasing artist, and wearing all the hats of like label and booking agent and PR person and manager. And it's been pretty overwhelming, and I'm hoping to get more help for future releases. But I mean, you never know what's going to happen. So I don't know. I'm kind of like, it feels a little bit like it's like me and my wife and my son and my dog against the world. right now, and so we have
Uh-huh.
to like we have to plot like how to get the engines going and get this plane off the
Uh-huh.
ground. And I don't know, I want to, my aspiration would be to do this for a long time and have it be the only thing I'm doing. And that just means I need ears, and I need people to listen. And yeah, so I don't know. There's a song that I've been playing live called Before You, that is not released, that people at the shows have seemed to really gravitate towards. I feel like after every show, everyone tells me that that was a song that really hit them. So I think we're gonna put that out soon. And then as far as other stuff, I'm not sure, but I'm really excited to see what happens next. And I'm gonna keep, I think, messing with stuff and being, I don't know, trying new things.
That's cool. Is there anything, just as a final question to round off our conversation, is there anything that you feel particularly energized by, Kelsey, going forward as as you say, like a smaller, doing everything yourself and, kind of having to play all the instruments on the EP and do all the visual stuff. Is there anything that you can do in that capacity that perhaps you couldn't do in your previous guises that you're particularly energized by looking forward?
I mean, just the visuals. Well, visuals in general, I guess. I just started like, because of Oscar, and this change in our lives, we've had to, the money we'd have like for other things, it's just a lot less. We have a lot less of it, and so I've tried to really lean into like, what can I learn? What can I save money on? And that's kind of like why I even did all the music myself. I'm in my studio right now,
Mm.
in my house, and I ended up, yeah, making everything myself, producing this myself, to save money. That was one of the motivations. But I remember demoing stuff out and then showing one of my close friends and collaborators, Mark Nieto. He goes by Combat Music. He used to play with me in Jaws of Love, and he was just telling me that he thought it sounded really good, and he was really pushing me to just finish it myself. And so, yeah, I'm really grateful to him for doing that. But like, all this to say, I started doing my own design stuff, and teaching myself how to do that. And I think visually, I've always been really loving how you can visually show music you're working on, but I've never been able to speak that language, and I feel like I'm starting to now, which feels really exciting to me. I don't know how to use Photoshop or Illustrator, but I know how to use Adobe Express. That's their
Uh-huh.
dumbed down version for us newbies, and it's been really helpful. And I got like really into editing videos in Final Cut Pro,
Uh-huh.
and sometimes I use that for like design stuff. I'll just like use a filter, some sort of like effect on there, and then like bounce that out, and then I don't know. I have this whole like weird way of doing design stuff that's been really fun, and so I'm excited to do more of that, and just excited to do more videos.
Yeah, that's great, man. Well, YouTube tutorials are your best friend, I think, and there's YouTube tutorials
Oh yeah,
for everything now.
yeah. I've been on a bunch. Yeah.
Well, look, thanks for taking the time to chat. I'm really excited by the new EP and the new music, man, and it's really eclectic. Like I say, like going from No Sleep to Mother Is the Real Jesus. Those are two very different vibes, and to see them side by side on a new EP like No Sleep is really interesting, and it suggests to me there's lots of really kind of fun, exciting stuff coming from you in the future, Kelsey. So just before we finish, where can people find the new record if they want to check it out?
Yeah, it's on all streaming services, so wherever you like to listen to stuff, you could go there. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm reasonably approachable on social media. If you just look up my name, so if you want to say hi, please do. And yeah, I'm gonna be putting out new stuff soon.